Hey guys, so you've undoubtedly seen this list going around for the Switch that has a bunch of games on it that have been announced. And of course, that list has grown significantly as we go along. As games get announced, people keep adding it, and we get this big old list of games for the Switch, which is great because, I mean, the bigger the library, the more the possibilities for other gamers and everyone to kind of latch onto the system. Now, there is one game in particular that when I keep looking at this list, it keeps sticking out to me. And I'll explain to you why, but this game's been there forever. I mean, I saw it in the first trailer we saw, the big compilation of all the games that got announced all at once, the big spread shot of stuff. And when I saw this game, I was like, really, that game is actually going to make it to the Switch? Because honestly, I was surprised. I didn't think this game would make it to the Switch. And the game I'm talking about is Steep. Now, if you know what Steep is, you might kind of understand what I'm saying here, but it is a very large open world game, and it's big in the sense that there's a lot to cover in the world, and it is a CPU intensive game on the PC. Now, I understand that obviously Zelda is an open world game, and it's pretty big too. Obviously, it's bigger than Skyrim's map and everything, but keep in mind that game was made specifically for the Wii U and then ported to the Switch by Nintendo themselves. Ubisoft is the one making Steep, and I don't think I have to tell you guys, Ubisoft is not the best at optimizing their games. I mean, we had the whole thing with the Assassin's Creed debacle with Unity, where that had all kinds of problems, and really, whenever I look at Ubisoft, I go, well, okay, they're obviously good at what they do when they make games, because making games isn't easy, but I always get that feeling that, I mean, they're a third-party developer that, let's just say the Switch isn't like their top priority, obviously, like it is for Nintendo, where they want to make Zelda run well and have a big open world map. So here comes Steep, a game that runs at 30 frames a second and 900p on the Xbox One that is now supposed to move over to the Switch and run perfectly fine on that as well. Now, would we get things like graphical downgrades? It's hard to say. I would assume so, since a lot of the port jobs that are being done quickly anyway, are getting graphical downgrades here and there. I mean, we saw it with like Dragon Quest. It was the same thing between that and the PS4. However, we do know at this point that the PS4 probably is more powerful than the Switch just based on stuff we've seen, so that shouldn't really be a big surprise. I mean, keep in mind the Switch also has to run on a battery, so yes, that is the case. You probably will get downgrades here and there, especially with third-party games. Now, there will be games from the first-party Nintendo that look really good, but third parties, keep in mind, have to make games for all three systems, even the PC in Steep's case, so they can't really focus heavily on one system. They have to be on to the next game and get their porting going. So like I said, first off, Steep is a massive game. It is very CPU intensive. This is another game that I look at and go, okay, well, the Switch's CPU has to be pretty strong, right? I mean, it has to at least be in parity with the Xbox One and the PS4 CPU for these open world games to get ported over like Steep. And I've said it before, the CPU on the PS4 and the Xbox One is certainly nothing to write home about. It's actually a very weak CPU in today's standards, so I don't see why the Switch's CPU wouldn't be able to at least match that performance, considering the CPU in the Switch is probably a semi-newer one in 2017. So the big thing, let's take all the graphics away, take the gameplay and everything away from that. The thing that really caught me off guard about Steep, and I know Steep, I know what it is, I've played it, I also know that it requires an online connection at all times. I think that was the thing that caught me off guard most, because that kind of goes against what Nintendo wants to do with the Switch. They want a system that can be played anywhere without having to worry about an internet connection, for example. And here's Steep, a game that actually needs an internet connection at all times, or you can't play. It has to be connected to Ubisoft servers. Now, that would mean that either they need to come up with a single-player mode for the Switch exclusively, or it does need to be connected to the internet, and you can't really play it much in handheld mode. Now, don't get me wrong, when you're at home and you're near your router, sure, you can play it, but what if you're out, like, maybe you're on a train? Like, a lot of people commute to work with a train. In Japan, you see a lot of people commuting to work. One person was even spotted on a way to work in, like, a train using, like, subway in Japan using their Wii U, which is weird, but most of the time, when you're in handheld mode and you're traveling, you don't have access to Wi-Fi, so I don't know if Steep will be one of those games where it is mostly played in the dock at home, and maybe they realize that, so they're writing off handheld mode for that game, or maybe they're doing a bypass where you can play the game without needing to be online with Nintendo's system. There's also microtransactions, which is a little weird too. That game itself is, they like locked different game types and modes and stuff behind paywalls, which is a little weird for a $60 game, but it just caught me off guard. Let me know what you guys think about this, if this is a little weird sounding to you as well, with the internet connection being needed. I don't know if handheld mode is going to be a big focus for Ubisoft with Steep, considering you need an internet connection. You just can't play without an internet connection. So, like I said, it was a little weird. Let me know if there's any other games on the list, guys, that caught you off guard when you saw it. Maybe there was one you saw and you're like, oh, wow, really? That's coming to the Switch? Especially now, since we have over 100 games. They're just cramming all these games into those little boxes now on that map. So let me know what you guys think. I'm very curious. So leave a comment below, and I will see you guys next time.